Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. It's another day that the Lord has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. For some of you, you might have seen me probably about uh hour and a half ago talking about the dirty yes. But I'm excited. I told you guys to come back because Constance Craig Mason is with me tonight. And I'm excited because I've wanted Constance to do a speak life with me for a while now, and it is finally happening. Sometimes I always feel like when it's gonna be like really powerful, something always happen, whether it's with the computer or something. So I'm really excited tonight. Share with your friends, invite your girlfriends, invite your friends to come on because she's gonna speak life to us. The name of the what she's going to be talking about is the importance of using her voice. And so I'm going to introduce her by way of her bio and how I met her. Initially, I think we was in a group program together. And, I was just friend requesting people. And one day I seen on her page, she had this like really dope photo shoot. I believe it was her and her daughter. They was like behind this mirror and she was like dressed all cute and she had a close, nice cut. And I was like, I like that. So I clicked on her page and friend requested her, but I'm going to give you her official bio and then I'm going to bring her in. So Constance Craig Mason is the CEO and visionary of Concierge, and I hope I'm saying this right, Financial Group and CFG Agency. So if you look at the bottom, you see this is strolling across the bottom. So you can go to her website or you can call this number if you want more information about getting your coins, your cash, your stocks and bonds. I'm not even sure all the financial things she does, but you call her and she can get you set up. She's a passionate international speaker. Just spoke international not too long ago. I believe it was last Friday, so I'm excited for her. Award-winning insurance broker. So instead of you guys doing GoFundMe when somebody passed away, get your insurance right now. That way, we don't have to do that. She's a dedicated financial wellness coach, Amazon best-selling author, and former small business consultant. She marries positive beliefs, emotion, and daily money habits with financial literacy, fostering a share in her clients' financial well-being. She's likened to a financial therapist. So we all know that therapy helps you a lot. And if you need help with your finances, Constance is the lady to talk to. She has co-authored 2 books, Emerge and Girl Get Up and Win. She's a bestseller in the New Age Mental and Spiritual Healing on Amazon. She's received many, many awards for the community for her impact. She's been in many magazines, Swag, Her Vital, Businessmen and Women of Color, His Favor, Courageous Women, and Voyage MIA. And so I'm excited to have Constance. She is one of my vocalizer sisters. So I'm about to bring her on. Constance, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Absolutely. I'm just super excited.
I'm excited too. I told you, like, I want to do this with you for a long time now. So it is finally here and I'm excited. So when we first came on, we was just talking and we were talking about like, what did you want the title to be? You was like, the importance of your voice, because you didn't think that using your voice was that important. And so I saw you from afar as you were sharing, specific things or, some of the things in our group. And I was like, wow, even though you were going through so much, you still had that beautiful smile on your face like you have now. You were still showing up and doing, and it's like, wow, people go through so much. You don't know what they go through. And then when you see them on camera or you see them on Facebook or you see them on YouTube or whatever platforms you see them on, it's like, wow, like you just don't know. So when I see you, I'm always thinking like, this is truly a testimony of the faithfulness of God to continue to keep somebody and the persistence of a person to continue to get back up when a lot of the things and trials could say, just stay there. So right. I am inspired from afar. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you speak live. And, I may ask some follow-up questions, but it is an honor for you to be up here tonight. So you can definitely share whatever it is that's on your heart to share. International speaker.
Thank you, Simone, for the introduction and for the opportunity. Like you said, we have known each other for probably maybe 6 months or so, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, we always have good interactions. I'm seeing you out there using social media as a platform, not only for yourself, but to uplift other women. And I just love that. So thank you. I didn't really know what I would be talking about, but it was something burning inside of me, particularly in the area of using my voice. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, you read my bio, it sounds great. However, I grew up in an era where, you know, we were told to be seen and not heard. We were told to stay in a child's place, you know, all of those things. And although those had, you know, some good points to it, I feel like in a lot of ways early on, it stifled me. You know, I actually am the youngest of, we had 4 girls in the house. So I'm already at the bottom, you know, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really much that I could say that somebody would really take seriously, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that thing followed me, you know, and I never really realized how being silenced, whether it was seemingly for a good reason or for a bad reason, I never really realized how being silenced as a child could really spill over into school. It could spill over into dating. It could spill over into your adult life at work. I never knew. And so I talked a little bit about being the youngest of 4 girls. I have 1 biological sister and I have 2 stepsisters. And so we watched a lot of traumatic things in our household coming up. We watched my mom go through a lot of traumatic things, particularly with men. And even that, you know, watching something like that, it makes you feel small, you know. And I just wanted my mom to win. And I just wanted everybody to be kumbaya, peaceful and happy. And so I kind of tend to shy away from strife. I tend to shy away from anything that's aggressive or ugly, and that kind of thing. And so imagine a little girl, the youngest girl, watching all of this stuff go on and not having a voice, not being able to stop it, not being able to say anything that's going to change that situation. And all I knew was to run, you know, was to just get away from the stuff that wasn't pleasant. And I found again that in my adult life, instead of addressing issues that would come up, I would hide or I would retreat or I would just try to find the peace. So if that meant sucking up whatever I had to say, then I would do it for the sake of peace. And the Bible talks about the peacemakers inheriting the earth. And so once I got older and I started digging into the word and I found out that, you know, being quiet or being a peacemaker wasn't necessarily a bad thing, that it was actually a gift. And so I stopped feeling like a victim and feeling like somebody had taken my voice away. And I realized that being able to diffuse situations and being able to bring light into a space is a very powerful place to be. But the speaking out part and being the youngest, there was some other early experiences that I'll touch on briefly that also aided in kind of sucking the voice right out of me. And so I was molested by the time I was 10 from someone in the family. I also was raped by a stranger on my way to school when I was in high school. And shortly after that experience, probably about a year later, I met someone and got into a relationship and it became abusive. So it was very physically abusive, it was mentally abusive, and even sexually abusive. So those are like experiences, especially as females, that when we experience something like that, we initially want to tell somebody. We might initially want to be protected going forward. So maybe that thing happened, but we then need some type of, hey, I got you. This will never happen again to you. And, you know, being all of this happened before I was 21 and I already had 2 little kids. And so now I go from this little girl, no voice, watching terrible things happen and then experiencing terrible things. And then now I have to stand up and be the protector of my children. And I never learned that. I never knew how, you know, I just knew that I wanted to get away from the ugly. But sometimes you got to be able to stand up and talk about what you will and will not tolerate and what you don't want in your space and how you have control over that. And again, it really didn't occur to me that my voice was the key to a lot of these things that had happened, setting me free from that, and then going forward, protecting other people that I love, and also having an opinion. I did not, even if I think I probably had a lot of opinions coming up. I was that little girl that would kind of be quiet in the room and just suck up everything that was going on, you know, body language, you know, because we couldn't say anything now. But if we were allowed to be in the room, you know, you might learn something. So like I would suck up everything. You know, I would watch how people handled situations. I would watch emotions. I learned a lot of nonverbal things, and it taught me a lot about people. And I see that as a blessing, you know, because again, I may not be a very aggressive person, but I've been around aggressive people and I know how they can use that to their benefit and how they can also manipulate people to do things that they want them to do. And I never wanted to do that to anybody. I always kind of wanted to have a voice and make a difference, but I had no idea how I would be able to do that if I couldn't even protect myself. You know, it's like, how are you going to affect others around you if you can't even say no and mean no? And that was taken away early on. You see what I'm saying? Those things that robbed me of my voice, such as, you know, molestation or being raped. It's like, if you said no, what difference would it make? You know, I did say no, and what difference did it make? You know, it's like those type of things that as you grow older, you know, you feel, I'm over it. You know, I'm here, God, I made it, so it doesn't affect me. But it does. You know, it shows up in the workplace. It shows up in your relationships. It shows up with how you raise your children. And so this voice is a powerful thing. You know, I never thought that I would even remotely be in any type of front of the room type of situation, because I was that type that could easily just go unnoticed. You know, I probably actually preferred to not be seen or go unnoticed. It was like put on me at first, but then it became me. And it's just like, well, you know, I'm just here to help. I don't need much. I don't require much, you know, just let me be, you know, I'm okay right over here in this corner. And so, you know, me being a public speaker or motivational speaker, or even being in sales, if you will, education, like those are things where people expect you to say something. They expect you to be a leader. They expect you to pour into them. And therefore, I had to have something to pour. I had to be confident, you know, in what I was talking about. And ironically, I ended up being in sales and financial literacy and that kind of thing before I ever even really told my story. Because to me, that wasn't important. That didn't have a place. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about numbers. I'm talking about concepts. This has nothing to do with me, but it had everything to do with me, because I would not be standing in front of anybody if I had not learned that I had to overcome those challenges. I had to overcome those insecurities. I had to realize that God told me that I could speak life and death with the power of my tongue. And that's a very powerful place to know that if the same power and energy that he put behind creating this world was the same power and energy that I had on the inside of me when I chose to speak about my life, or when I chose to speak into my children, or if I chose to speak to other women. You know, I'm in a lot of women's empowerment groups, and I find that we are so strong when we edify each other. Like, you feel like, oh, you know, it's just a headshot. But if you pour into that woman, you may not know she might be looking at her ears and like, I hate this headshot. You know, out of everything else good that's going on in that headshot. And she's like, my ears, though. Like, I hate it. But you're pouring into her, gives her the confidence to put it on that flyer or put it on that, you know, engagement, and let's go. You know, it's just like, I literally am blessed enough to have gone through things that I felt like sucked my voice away. But it has taken nearly, I'm 41 now, so it has taken nearly 40 years for me to understand that that stuff didn't just happen. You know, it was predestined. And it was predestined for me to be able to find my purpose. I feel like God gave me this journey for a reason. And I am blessed to be able to know exactly what I want to do, exactly what I will be doing for the rest of my life. And it will be empowering people. It will be letting them know and reminding them of the greatness that's already inside of them. Whether I do financial services or this or that, I'm always going to be pouring into other people and letting them know that they don't just have to settle for what has happened and settle for the now, that they can go on and move because they have the power to move. Like, I never knew, nobody told me anything like that as a child. You know, I was just told that if you get into a situation, that you become responsible for whatever it is, and you go from there. Be strong, be responsible, and that kind of thing. But my soul, my mind, will, and emotions, like that, I feel like is what gets us in trouble a lot of days. You know, our mind, will, and emotions, and there was no one teaching about that as it related to the word, as it related to everyday life. There was nobody talking about how those things can really hold you back. So once I found God, and I found him at about 19 years old, once I found him and started reading in the word about what he had to say about me and what goals and dreams that he had for my life, then I was no longer worried about just sitting still and being in some little corner, because there's no way he could empower you that way and then you have nothing to say. It's just no way.
I love, one thing I love about Speak Life, Constance, is that when God really pinpoints to invite people, because you know there's some people who say, hey, I would love to be on your show, and you know I said, hey, I'll get back with you. Somebody said, like, I don't just bring people on for the sake of bringing them on, but it really has to be a God thing. And I didn't know we didn't know of course, we didn't talk about what you was going to say. And of course, I read the financial piece. I even told my friend, she's up in there. I was like, hey, she's a financial guru. Tune in. She says, well, what's she going to talk about? I said, I don't know. It's Speak Life, but whatever she say, it's going to be good. And it truly is, like, you never know somebody's story. And I guess that was the era, because you're probably three or 4 years older than me. And I always say this, you know, growing up it wasn't even something told to me, but it was kind of like one of those unspoken rules where what happens in the house stays in the house.
Yes.
But really, it doesn't stay in the house. It goes everywhere you go. And you will see how it showed up, you know, on your job, in your relationship. And it's like, I feel like our parents and our grandparents, they did what they knew to do, and now that people are speaking out about it, or you have younger children who seem to be more outspoken. It's kind of like, well, maybe they shouldn't, but I don't believe that's the case, because we went through so much, and you shared your story, like, you had somebody at your age or who you are to somebody now, you know, if you avoided so many things, and then to listen to you say that, it's like, wow. Something you said that I typed up here, it says, it was put on me at first, then it became me.
Yes.
Powerful, like, what?
Yes, ma'am. And again, I didn't realize any of that part until a couple years ago. And I'm going to, well, I'll just read something because I started a group page a couple years ago. I think it was like 2014, and it was called I think it was called Words of Wealth Wednesday. So every Wednesday I would go on and I would teach something about money as it related to the word.
Yeah.
So I had about 100 and some people on the page, and we were really digging in. I had a whole lesson plan and everything, right?
Yeah.
You know, I had definitions, I had applicable things to your life, you had homework. I was serious about it, right?
Mhm.
But a young lady that I'm mentoring right now, she was talking about her walk and how she felt really stuck, and she just wanted somebody to kind of, you know, pour into her, you know, a younger female.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, of course. So I thought back to that group page, and I'm like, you know, there's some spiritual concepts in there, but there's some money concepts in there too.
Mhm.
And I saw that she had liked a post in there. The post was from 2017. So
Wow.
I shared it today. So think about what I said in terms of being insignificant, not having a voice, being
Mhm.
stifled, and all that. And then I'm gonna say what I posted.
Okay.
So it says, this was from God's word through me. So he said, you are not some insignificant speck of matter in this huge world that I created. The same power and great detail it took to create it, I also used to create you. Understand that it's always been about my love for you and grace that covers you on this journey. I need you for a specific purpose, and I have been keeping you until you get it done. I see you and I hear you. Girl, I'm about to cry. Huh.
Yeah.
Don't you dare question how great you are. I made an amazingly beautiful thing or being when I created you. I have a plan and you are not off track. How could you be if I'm in control? What you think are mistakes and stupidity is how you learn. Lift your head up and walk like I showed you. When you fall, I'll pick you up, dust you off, and guide you. I don't care what anyone says about you. It's what I said about you that matters. And now go. Now, mind you, he told me this to post in 2017.
Wow.
And I posted it to that group. Now, that thing was bubbling up out of me like as if he was talking to me.
Mhm.
But mind you, he had already said that to me. And that's how I was able to say that to them. You feel me? So I was just like, mind you, I just started mentoring this young lady maybe 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So here he was showing me all along the way that I had significance
Yeah.
and that I had a purpose, and that anything that I felt like I failed at I was still on track.
Yeah.
And then now, all these years later, I can pour in a 25-year-old who's saying, hey, I recognize that I'm not where I want to be.
Mhm.
And I think that maybe you're somebody who can help me. And I'm willing to be mentored. I'm willing to see what's out there for me. Now, mind you, I've been mentoring young people for a long time unofficially, right?
Mhm.
My kids, friends, and that kind of thing. And I love them like their own, and they know it.
Yeah.
But this was a little bit different because, you know, this was a young lady in a group that I was a part of.
Mhm.
And I'm like, of all these women, amazing women in this group, like, how the heck did you find me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing and I'm able and I'm happy to serve.
Yeah.
But it just brought me back to that old place of like, I thought I was insignificant, God.
Mhm.
And he's like, no, sir. No, ma'am. No,
Yeah.
ma'am. Mm-mm. You could try to hide if you want, but I'm going to pull you on out. And we going to do this with this young lady. So he is just amazing. Like, I don't even have a word, but amazing.
Because that was powerful. I always say this, like when I share on Facebook Live, like I'm not talking to y'all, I'm talking to us. And I think that a lot of time when God is speaking, using us as a vessel to speak through, that we don't always comprehend what we're saying because it's not coming from us. But it's
Right.
like the moment he needs you to really get it, and you go back and read, you like, oh my God. Like, I know you said that was for you, but that was surely not for me. And I love the fact that our failures, even in our failures, we still on track. Like, you know how
Right.
powerful that is for somebody to think, because you'll feel bad about something. I know for me, like, condemnation will beat you up and you'll get all like, why did I do that? And but we still on track. Like, what?
Yes. Honey. Making mistakes in my mind, but in his mind, it's a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lesson for me. It's a lesson for my kids. It's a lesson for the people that I'm going to meet that I haven't met yet.
Mm-hmm.
These are all experiences that if we use them the right way, you know, we won't ever be, you know, people say take a L. I will never take a L, not in the way of a loss.
Yeah.
No, ma'am. It's always going to be a lesson because I want to grow. I did a live a couple of days ago and I was telling people to type in there, you know, I want to grow on purpose. You know, I'm purposing to grow. And, you know, when you grow, it's uncomfortable. You know, things don't feel the same, don't look the same. It might hurt, you know, it's just, but I'm choosing to go through that process because I know that I'm going to be better for it. And again, I'm not doing this alone. There's people watching me.
Yeah.
And so if I can be authentic about it, then we can grow together.
Yep.
There's no shame. I'm not ashamed if I try something and it doesn't go the way I thought. I'm not ashamed of that because if I didn't try it, I wouldn't have that experience. So I have to get out here and make my mistakes. I have to get out here and use my voice. And a lot of my mentors, you know, they talk about not being perfect, you know, not having the perfect diction and the perfect background and the perfect words. And somebody is waiting to hear what you have to say. Are you going to say it?
Wow. Somebody's waiting to hear what you got to say. Are you willing to say it? Like, that is... I typed in the video myself, I will grow on purpose, because you know what I think is so key for what you said is that you want to grow on purpose. You know, there's a lot of people that kind of talk this talk, but they really not really about it. And so it's like the fact that you want to grow on purpose, it means you're willing to do something besides just talking about it. And then the fact that you use your voice, because I believe that all of us are assigned to just a remnant of people. And so that's how that lady was able to, the young lady was able to Xerox in on Constance. Somebody could say the same exact thing that we could say, but if they're not called to our voice, it'll go like over their heads. And I'm not sure if you experiences with your children. You might have told them something 55,000 times, but then somebody else will come and tell them something. Then they'll come and tell you like, this is some big epiphany they just had. And you like, I've been told you that, but they didn't receive it until that person like spoken to their ears. And that's how it is like now. And it's like so many things you said, even just about like, you've been with coaches about not being perfect and the perfection part. That is speaking for me. I've heard that like, you know, a lot, but it's like when somebody else said, it's like, you know what? I got it this time. I got it. Yeah. So,
and I've been seeing you do it. I've been seeing you step out and do things and invite others on the journey with you so that they can speak and use their voice. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. So this, one of the ladies said, my mom is from Baltimore, but has lived in York, PA for about 7 to 8 years. And then one of my friends, she asked, where you from? It's Constance from Harrisburg, PA. I see a 717 area code.
Oh, that was my daughter, Kiana. She put in there that that we're from Baltimore, but we live in York, PA.
Oh, okay. 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 I thought you was in Maryland. How far is York, PA from here?
It's about 45 minutes. Depends on where you end up once you get across 83.
Okay. Is that near Towson?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. Constance, you have blessed me tonight, and I'm very, very appreciative. Like, I didn't know what she was gonna say, but this was on time. So, if it could be younger people that watch, I have mostly between like 36 and 47-year-olds that tune into the student teacher page. So, for the older woman who or the mature woman who may still feel like, I want to say something. I grew up in a home similar to you. I really don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
What could you say to kind of encourage this woman or man to like use your voice, that your voice is really important?
Mm. You know, just talk to somebody that you trust. And I say that because I'm not going to put my mom's business out in the streets because, she'll get me for that.
Yeah. Right.
She'll get me. But I bring her up because my mom is really strong. She's gone through a lot of things. Yeah. And I've watched her evolve. However, there are still some pockets of things that still hold her back, and it's more about the past than it is about her present ability to do something. Yeah. Right? She's able to do things. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the emotional baggage and the things like that affected her over the years have kind of, I'm going to say, slowed down the progression, right? She's still moving. She's still shaking. And she looks at my sister and I, she's proud. She looks at her granddaughters. She's proud. She always tells us that. But we're proud of her too. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we realize that, like, if she were to use her voice, if she were to talk to someone that she trusts about the dark times, yeah, and release it, like, she would just skyrocket. Mm-hmm. Everything that we have watched her do is like, we're proud of that. But it's like, I know she would be that much more greater if she just got that stuff out, mm-hmm, and talked to somebody. It don't have to be us, yeah, but it could be somebody that doesn't know her story, somebody unbiased. And I feel like that she's not alone in that regard of saying, you know what, it's over with. I've already moved on from that part of my life, but you might have moved on physically, but there might be some emotional things. There might be some, like, I have very low self-esteem coming up. There may be some things like that will keep you from going after that really big job that you want, or starting that business that you're like, you know what, I've always wanted to do this thing. However, it could have been somebody who told you something when you were a youth that is still in there somewhere. I know it was in there for me.
Me too.
Right? So it's like, you don't on the surface think about that one phrase that your third grade teacher said or whatever, but it is there and it is living. So it's like, okay, if I can just talk to somebody unbiased, even therapy, spiritual counselors, whomever, mm-hmm, and you could release that stuff, how much further, how much more impact could you have on the people that are watching? People are watching even when you don't think that they are. And they're looking at you to be an example, whether they officially say, hey, I need you, or I need you to mentor. And it doesn't even have to be an official thing, but they are watching, So it's like, I love to see people just break out. You know what I mean? I didn't even really break out myself until about 3 years ago. There was there was a family situation that had come up. And it was because it had reached a boiling point. And it was because I had not said anything for 30 some years. I had not said anything about it. And my sister said to me, she said, you need to say stuff when it happens. You need to tell somebody right then and there. If they offend you, you need to say something. Don't hold on to this stuff and then expect that these people are going to even know what you're talking about 5 years from now. Yeah. Like, they don't even know why you're mad. Like, just deal with it, grow up and deal with it and move on. Right? Yeah. Don't just harbor it and then next thing you know, you explode on somebody. And that was a couple of years ago, but it really set me free because, like I said, I'm a peaceful person. And I didn't know that by holding on to my pain, that it was going to bust out one day in a way that would be like irrational, or in a way that people would say, oh, you bitter, or you're you're blowing this situation. Like, it wasn't even that serious, but it comes from a place way deeper than that. And so if we could just learn to speak up about things when it happens in a respectful way, then you can move on in peace, and so can they, right? And then they learn boundaries. Then they learn how to treat you. Then they know what you want and what you don't want.
Yep.
And that just goes for, family and clients and all down the list. Our bosses, the whole thing. Like, if you just learn that your voice is important and you don't have to go off and snap on people to be able to make your point. But you're setting firm boundaries. You're letting them know what you like and what you don't like. I said, I just grew up a couple years ago. I've never really considered myself to be like immature and that kind of thing, but I just mean about being grown. Like grown enough to say, I like this, or I don't like that, or no, I'm not doing it, or yes, I will do it and follow through. So it's like that voice, it will make you or break you. Like I said, I never thought I would be in front of people. I never thought I would be in sales. I never thought I would be a speaker or any of that. But once I started learning how to speak up for myself, once I started learning that there were things about, my life growing up that I didn't want to repeat. And a lot of that had to do with poverty. There was a poverty mindset of just, stretching and making every penny work. But there were also people that didn't live that way. There were people who, planned and they did things and they saved and they built their credit and all of those things we didn't know anything about. And so once I started trying to figure out, hey, I don't want to repeat those things, and I don't want my kids to grow up feeling less than, and I don't want my kids to feel like they can't have or grow, then I had to do it first. And the word that I read that was so pivotal, it talked about, God said, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And that thing set me free, because I'm like, God won't even consider me good if I'm not doing things in my daily life that's allowing them to be free. The grandkids that I don't even have yet, the great grands that are coming, it's all because of the actions and the efforts and the habits that I create now. So it's like, okay, well, ain't nobody leave no inheritance for us. You know what I mean? I didn't get that head start. I am going to do whatever it is possible to make sure that I don't repeat that. It's like the buck stops here. They're going to have an inheritance. They're going to have real estate. They're going to have wealth, and that is a mindset. It starts in the mind. That poverty mentality of not having enough and pinching pennies and I can't have that. I can't have access to that. That's a lie. My husband and I, we believe there's just one word that we always talk about when we think about growing our life and growing for our kids, and that's options. That is the word that drives us. Options, right? And nowadays, things are different with the pandemic and that kind of thing. But the wealthy are sitting in the house just like the impoverished. They're in the house too. When this thing clears, that's when the options are prevalent. Right? It's like, oh, now that everybody can go outside, what will I go outside and do? And if you're in a position to where you don't have the money to go and do something, then it makes you feel less than. Because see, right now we're all equal. We all in here. We all trying to figure out creative ways to communicate and this and that. When it's all said and done, how are you going to evolve? Are you going to come out of here feeling like, hey, I didn't have it a couple months ago, and I had to do some creative things to keep what I got. But now, since there's all type of free webinars and everybody's giving out free advice, I want to know how I'm supposed to save, how I'm supposed to get out of debt, how I'm supposed to get into the real estate game, how I'm supposed to invest in stuff. I'm supposed to learn while I'm sitting down here with everybody else. Right? Like, if I'm supposed to leave some wealth for my kids, and I haven't the slightest idea how to do that, then I need to get on some of these free Zoominars, webinars,
Right.
what have you, so that I can make sure that happens. Like, this is the time.
This is the time. Wow. Because if you're so like, and how you know how somebody tell you something about it, but you see it. Like you talk about you're a peaceful person. You could your whole demeanor is peaceful. And it's like it's such a wealth of knowledge that just flowed. Like I'm gonna have to go back. This one right here, and I love everybody that's been on Speak Life, right? I just love their message. But this is one that I'll personally go back and watch because, and I shared this with my friend earlier, is that sometimes, you know, like you read a book, you hear somebody speak, sometimes you don't really have the words to articulate what you really want to say.
Right.
But you summed up so much of me. Like even when you talked about speaking up when it happens.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I just became a grown woman probably like 2 or 3 years ago because I was it was like this little girl where I was always muzzled and I didn't really want to talk and didn't really want to speak up. And it's like, wow, when you do deal with it right then, you can free yourself because you know it could be something small, like you said, you just blow up or the whole family just get mad over one thing, but it's really not that one thing, but nobody wanted to deal with it. And so it's like,
yes,
thank you, because you talking directly to me. I know people are commenting, they're you know saying they're blessed, but you have really spoken directly to me and I'm forever grateful. So this is one that I will watch over and over and over again because all the stuff you said is all the things that I wanted to say, all the things I'm still working out and walking in now. So it's like, wow, God, you will align somebody to speak directly to where we are. It's kind of like what people say in the church, like a rhema word. It was a rhema word for Simone. So thank you.
Aww.
Like,
I'm so blessed by that.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, wow. That's why I kept just shaking my head, like,
Well, we are our sister's keepers, so you know.
Yeah, and then we both had on red. This wasn't planned either, so I was like,
My daughter was like, "Do a red lip." I said, "No, I'm not I'm not able to do that yet."
Because I think you like so much. Like we had a lot of comments. My friend Kim Bird, she's up here. She said she could relate to what you were saying about being grown and owning her grown woman. So I just appreciate you so much tonight. I'm going to let you close us out and share your last words or whatever you want to do. This has definitely blessed me, guys. I put Constance's information down here, but obviously she has more to talk to you about than financial literacy. That's a very big and one other thing you were saying is about your mom. And I'm like, it's so like my own mom. And I told mom maybe like a year ago, I was like, Mama, I really want you to just, you know, because I was telling her about specifically her church. Like, get out of this church. Go somewhere else where somebody don't know you, where you can open up and you can talk to. Go talk to somebody, meet some new people who don't know your story, don't know your family, where you can just be you without feeling judgment. Like you can come, like it'll come back to you later and somebody throw it in your face. But some new people. Like this is something that me and her sit down and look at together. And I'll say, Mom, I think you should really do this again. Because it's like when we, you know, people that you love, especially like your parents or your children or whoever you're close to, you know there's more in them. But it's like it just ain't came out yet. And you know that you really not the person that really can bring it out of them. You just kind of encourage them to get around other people who can. And I like when she calls and she always say, "Hey, I'm student teacher number 2." And I say, you're student teacher number 1 because I came from you. And it's like she's such a powerful woman. And it's like when you said break out, it's like I want my mom to just break out, like break out and be free of whatever. So this blessed me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I like how you said yet. You know, you talked about, you know, our loved ones that we see all the potential in them and we just like, oh, if you could just bust one out of there.
Yeah.
You know? Because why? Because we had to do it. right? And we know firsthand that even if it's a small bust on out of there,
Yeah.
then it's everything for that moment. You know,
Yeah.
you just feel weightless. I shared about weightless the other day. It's like we hold on to so much stuff, and people don't know it's inside of there because we walk around with a smile and we're,
Yeah.
you know, we're kind to people. And most of the women that I know, you know, operate in some type of helps or service, you know, capacity. And so you don't think about yourself and the things that you need because you think about the community that needs, or the spouse that needs, the child that needs, you know, everybody that needs. And then when you look up, you know, you become bitter Betty because you allowed everything to take precedence over your healing. And it is so critical, you know, that we heal ourselves. And it starts with opening our mouth.
Yep.
It really does.
Yep.
So I'm thankful for you having me on today or tonight. There was a scripture that I actually made one of my first businesses around, and it was Matthew 7:7, which I know that you put that up sometimes, Matthew 7:7. And it talks about ask, right? Seek and knock. And again, a lot of times we don't get access to the things that we want because we don't ask, we don't seek after, and we don't knock so that the doors will be opened. And my very first consulting business that I had, it was called Ask Business Consulting, ASK, and it was for that scripture, ask, seek, and knock. And we don't have.
I love that. ASK.
Yeah. It was called Ask Business Consulting. And I had that business for about 5 years, and I helped entrepreneurs. Well, I empowered entrepreneurs to be able to start the business from a hobby, you know, that they had. Oh, you know, working 9 to 5, but I really want to do this thing and I haven't the slightest idea. And so I did help plenty of entrepreneurs find their way. And I guess essentially find their voice in that regard, because they were trying to do something that they were struggling with, and I was able to help them with it. But it was pivotal for me to take that scripture and apply it to my life, because so many doors were open to me because I sought God for it. I asked him for it. I opened my mouth in prayer, and he started to make things happen. He put me in spaces where I met some powerful people. He put me in spaces where people were just like, look, oh, here, take this, do this, call this number, go here, do that. And so who would I be to not reciprocate? Who would I be to not then help other people? So that was kind of like my introduction to entrepreneurship, was helping other entrepreneurs. And the financial journey came along around the same time. And so the more I learned about money, the more I told people about money. The more I learned about credit, the more I told people about credit. And I'm going into a journey in a couple of weeks to get licensing to do investments and to help people with that. So I've definitely been digging into, you know, financial literacy and protecting your assets, and, you know, making sure that there's no GoFundMe set up, you know, for people who unfortunately pass away, you know. And so now I want to dig into helping my people build wealth. And so there's not a lot of African-American female financial advisors that are out in this space. And so I definitely want to take my people with me along that journey, you know, learning how to make the money grow for you and not just you always running after money. And again, that wasn't something that I saw in my home growing up, but it is something that I have access to, the knowledge and the application. And so I definitely am going to take this journey. And I might have to do things a little bit differently in terms of like my time and, you know, making sure that I'm studying and making sure that I'm applying things. But I believe that it's going to really help everybody that I've been serving this whole time. You know, we're going to elevate together.
I love this. I can just keep talking to you like forever, ever. Oh my God. When you get that all going, Constance, please send it to me, because I will share that out. You know, I'll be like probably a client, but I'll share it out with people that I know. I'll share it out with my email list, because we need to know that. And I love that you shared your story prior to sharing this on the back end, because again, like you said, like, we come and we all dressed up and we all cute, but you
Yeah.
don't know the story behind it. And now I make a connection with you. And then it's like, wow, first of all, I can relate to you. And you also can teach me about investments and stocks and bonds. I definitely want to like be, connected. So that was like, it's something you said so much stuff. And like with the ask, seek, and knock, I think a lot of people really forget about praying to God and asking Him. They try to do these works and do all this stuff instead of first going to Him and say, "Listen,
Yeah.
this is what I want," and I believe He'll line us up with right people. I think He also protects us from the wrong people, but He
Yes.
will align us with the right people. So it's not even necessarily about all the knowledge and stuff you learn as you go, but if we just ask Him, that is so
Mhm.
powerful. And I did a live probably maybe 2 hours ago. It's called The Dirty Yes. We say
Oh,
yes to people in their face, no behind their back, or we'll say yes to other people, but we'll say no to ourselves. And it's
yeah.
like, you got to say yes to ourselves. Like, don't be help. You got to help yourself first. Then you can be able to, pour it back into other people and bring people along with you and get enough. I think to know your worth, to say, you know what, I am worthy, that I can go and bring my sisters along this journey with me. So
Yes.
I'm excited. Thank you so much. This has been a joy and a pleasure for real. I really am going to let you say the last words because I'll just keep talking.
Well, my last words would definitely just be, how to stay connected or get connected. So I'm right on Facebook, Constance Craig Mason. My business is Concierge Financial Group. And so you can find that on Facebook. On Instagram, it is official C. Craig Mason. And on those pages, you can kind of get a little bit of me personally, and you can get, content, things that are happening financially in the world, things that are happening locally, tips about credit and debt and all of that jazz. But yeah, my final word would be just to use your voice on a daily basis when you need to, so that things don't build up. And like you said, your dirty yes or your dirty no, just use your voice now, when it's, you can actually be authentic in that way. People know that you mean what you say and say what you mean. And there's no saying yes and I really don't feel like doing it, or saying no and then it's like, oh, I feel bad about it. Like, it's time to grow up. It really is time to grow up and grow up in the Lord. And that if I have needs and desires, I'm going to Him first. And I know that He's going to make something happen. He's going to send someone my way. He's going to send some webinar somehow for me to get access to what I need. So just don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to let your yes be yes and no be no. And that is that.
Wow. Guys, listen, I'm not going to say anything else but goodbye. But Constance, thank you so much. You have blessed me tonight. Thank you guys who tuned in. Thank you to your daughter and to all of your friends who have come on tonight. It has been a blessing. It's been a joy. Share this with your friends. Share this with your mama. Share with the women that's like 60 years old and older, because we really, truly need their voices. We really, truly need their stories, because imagine what we have been able to accomplish. That didn't just come because, we study, but we come from somebody whose voice could be even more powerful. So share this with your grandma, your auntie, and them, all of them.
Yeah.
Tell them it's time for them to use their voice. Like the younger generation, we are using our voice. The ones behind us are using it. We want to hear the older people. The Lord says that the older women teach the younger women. The older men teach the younger men. So share this with your older people. Tell them we need their voice, to use their voice.
Yeah.
Stop talking about we don't tell our business, because it's not helpful. I mean, you don't have to, because the one thing I know is that you don't have to defame somebody else or go into details about somebody's story in order to share something about it. Even how you share, like with your mom, and I share with my mom, we didn't go into like no details, but it's like, use your voice. Your voice is needed. And that's all we're going to say about that.
Yes.
All right, guys. Good night. Thank you guys so much. Follow Constance. She gave you her social media stuff. Follow her. Get connected. Let's help her become one of the few African American women who are out here being financial experts, so we can continue to blaze trails and empower people and to help as many people as we can. So I love you guys tonight. Be blessed.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you so much, Constance. See you.
Night.
Bye.